Hi, We Church family. I'm really grateful for this online community and how we can gather around faith together. Today I really want to follow on from my last message about hearing the shepherd's voice to really today the battles that may come from obeying the shepherd's voice. And it's taken from the story of David and Goliath. And I love it in Acts chapter 13, verse 22. It talks about how, God removed Saul and put David into leadership because of his heart and because of his willingness to obey. And that was a 20-year journey that he was on to get to that place. But it started between the battle of David and Goliath. And right there we see that there were three battles that David faced. The first battle was against his brothers. He turned up to the battlefield and with some bread and some cheese that his dad told him to bring to his brothers. And there, it was on, the ridiculing, the falsely accusing, the misrepresenting, the shaming that happened in front of everyone to make David feel like he was insignificant. And they challenged him and they said, you're here to see a fight. So sometimes the first battle that we may face from obedience is our family and the people around us. And, the second battle that David faced was against King Saul. King Saul heard about that conversation with his brothers and he was promoted to the next level of ridicule. And, King Saul really overlooked him and said, you're unknown, you're unexperienced in this, arena. There's no way you can beat Goliath. But somehow David convinces King Saul. And the next thing is amazing because King Saul offers him his armor and David tries it on and realizes it's too heavy and hands it back to King Saul. And, we read later on in chapter 18 of 1 Samuel how David accepts Jonathan's armor, not just because they were the same height and size, but because they had a soul connection. So there's something there that that David recognized between the two armors. And, so the second battle that we may face could be from leadership over us. And I love the third battle because that's where we all know and remember about was the battle against Goliath. And really the battle against the real enemy. David turns up to Goliath and Goliath tries, the fear and the tormenting tactic that he's been using on the Israelites for 40 days. And, it doesn't work with David because he has a heart after God's own heart and a heart for God's people. And so we see how he chooses an unconventional approach to battle where everyone was expecting a conventional approach, which was hand-to-hand battle. And so he chose to run and sling Goliath with rocks, which led to the victory. And, the third battle in our lives could be from the enemy, as we obey God's voice. So in closing, we've got to realize that battles are going to come to us when we obey God. And, David didn't exhaust himself with the wrong battles. He didn't exhaust himself with the wrong armor. He didn't exhaust himself with the wrong leadership or the wrong weapons. But he chose to fight the right battles. And Goliath was the right battle to fight because that was the enemy. And, David really foreshadows someone much greater, Jesus, who is the ultimate king in our lives, who won the greatest battles against sin, against death, and against Satan. And today we stand under that armor, we stand under that leadership, and we stand under that family of God where we can overcome and be victorious in Christ. And, so I want to close with us with just some thoughts that we can talk about and discuss together. And the first one would be, we have to realize that battles are a sign of obedience. The second one is that fighting the right battles lead to meaningful victories. And thirdly, the right armor leads to right connections and appointments. So God bless you guys. I'm really looking forward to hearing us discuss this, and have a great week.